Live from what is right now a very calm Battery Park. Fireworks start later. Thanks, Brian. Heather's got more.
Well, several attacks today leaving Saudi Arabia on edge. A blast hitting a mosque, as we've been telling you, in the country, known to be the second holiest site in Islam. And a suicide bomber carrying out an attack near a U.S. consulate in Saudi Arabia this morning. The incidents coming in the wake of attacks in Bangladesh and Baghdad that left hundreds dead over the weekend. Steve Rogers is a former member of the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force and a retired lieutenant commander of the United States Navy Office of Naval Intelligence. Thank you for coming in on this Independence Day. But as families across our country celebrate, we're on edge because of these terrorist attacks that have hit home as recently as Orlando.
Heather, the President of the United States has consistently said that ISIS is on the run. He's not telling us that they're running towards us. And the evidence of all these attacks is letting us know and letting the world know, and also letting Muslims know. Don't forget, keep in mind that these attacks, like we saw in Saudi Arabia, they're killing Muslims.
Yeah.
They're letting us know.
Specifically targeting Shias.
Exactly. They're letting us know they'll hit any time, any place. And the reason I believe is because our government has failed to respond proportionately to them.
And what do you think that response should have been?
It should have been and still should be a shock and awe, massive military bombardment of ISIS headquarters, their command and control center, their supply lines. Cut them off at the head. That'll send a very clear message that they're going to have to stop this and stop it very, very soon.
But we see them losing territory in Iraq and in Syria, but we see them as a result of that moving beyond those borders.
Well, Heather, they've changed their strategy. They may be losing territory, but they're gaining a lot. Look what happened in Baghdad in the past 48 hours. These massive bombings and over 100 people killed. They're taking what we use in military terms, the battle space, and they're moving it closer and closer to the United States. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We better wake up, because the battlefield is not going to be over there. It's going to be right here in the United States.
And it doesn't seem to matter whether ISIS specifically and directly is involved in the attack, or if it's someone, and I know a lot of people don't like this term, but a lone wolf.
Well, look, they're using their influence, social media, training clips, etc. ISIS, some way, somehow, is always connected to someone who has committed a terrorist attack. We've learned that. The way we combat it in the long term is the ideology, but in the short term, that massive military strike. And unfortunately, you got to bring ground troops in and take control of that part of the world, because if we don't, they're going to take control of this part of the world.
Yeah, and what concerns me is how things seem to be changing just a little bit. If you look at the latest attacks where they hold hostages and they release pictures to try to get additional coverage, and they send it out on Twitter and things like that.
Well, they've learned that the longer they keep a military operation, and make no mistake about it, this isn't criminal elements. These are military combatants. The longer they keep hostages, the more news coverage they're going to get, and the more terror they're going to spread. What they should have done in Bangladesh is take them out immediately. You don't negotiate with terrorists for 10 hours and look how many people killed.
Why did they do that?
Poor training, poor operations, etc. I believe if that was here, our police departments would have went in and taken them out immediately. We've learned you don't negotiate with terrorists.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it, and hopefully today nothing else will happen.
Well, let's pray that it doesn't.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Leland?